So. So the Biden administration is seeking to revamp how federal workers report their race. In this specific case with MENA people, Middle Eastern and North African descent. I mean, there's all sorts of hate that we could make with this sort of thing. But we're going to focus on asking why this is happening now. What is the motivation? And I wouldn't actually say that this is part of the woke gospel directly, right? Further fragmenting. No, it is a response to the fact that listing oneself as white in government documents is seen by fewer and fewer people as being beneficial. Now, I've made a lot of content on this channel about how I think using Darwinian categories of race and words like black, white, brown, yellow, red, which we can only use some of those, is poison. I'm going to have to dive into this a little bit. Because what we're talking about here are the people groups that some might have argued were hardly white, really. Are going to start bailing. Because it's just not beneficial anymore. Make no mistake. We're not talking about, in this country and in Western civilization, fringe radicals. We're talking about a worldview that's very pervasive and held by a lot of people, and held by people who are in the bureaucracy and the machinery of state. And they're going to do what they do. Now, we can still think that a lot of this is fringe because, well, the school board leader who recently doubled down on her tweets about how whiteness was evil, thus condemning half of the people that she is supposed to assist in her job as evil. Well, she doesn't live in your city. And there are these hot spots, right? Urban areas in a certain part of the country, particularly, where this is happening a lot more. It's not that far away. It's right around the corner from you. There's, well, man, so many corners I could turn and fire around. I'm going to try to stay focused. There is a race war underway. Now, I think it's very important that we, as Christians, avoid that fight as much as possible. I've also talked elsewhere, though having used this phrase, basically we're talking about a Parthian maneuver, right? And the last thing we want to do is the cavalry kind of rides up within range, fires at us and runs away. We do not want to chase after them. That is not the right fight for us. Christians need to stay focused on the church, and the church needs to continue to be focused on her fight. The fact is, though, that the Christians who are in that fight are very important. I've talked elsewhere about how we can't all go, pouring down there, but if we don't do something about it, they may just realize that they can just pour all their forces there, right? And it may be that one day that that fight is at the doorstep of every Christian, and we have to die on that hill. The capital W white Christian has to be faithful in the face of persecution, and the capital B black Christian has to be faithful in decrying that injustice and fighting that injustice. Who would have imagined we could plausibly talk about such things? But here we are. It is interesting, I think, for the Christian to ponder the significance of this sea change and consider what it is that is worth fighting for and worth promulgating. And I'm not, by the way, just talking about, only take the essentials. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying ask what the essentials are. I'm saying ask what the good things are. And those are the things you want to share. I think Christians should also be thinking about how not to participate in this sort of mess. Refusing to report, reporting incorrectly on purpose. Undermining this immoral way that the state is trying to control you and to control the people within its borders. What language can you use? What language can you not use? My own family, sort of in this nebulous whiteness boat. Now, when I say nebulous, you'll get some very strong opinions about us from different people who may like us or dislike us. Everyone else thinks they know, but they give different answers. And in different times and in different places, they've given different answers. By the way, the person in my family who is thought of as Hispanic by strangers the most is the only one in our family who's not Hispanic. See what I'm saying to you? So there are people who say I'm white. And they think I have certain obligations because of it. There are people who say I'm brown. Mostly people here where we live in Idaho. It basically hasn't happened elsewhere. I am neither white nor brown. I'll tell you the main thing I am is Anglo-Saxon. And not racially. But because I'm an English speaker who loves Tolkien and passes him on to his kids. I'm also a lot of other things. That's why people have a hard time nailing us down. Well, why are you even trying to nail us down? And think about your own family, the people you know. I think especially of your church. What binds the people in your church? What makes them part of the communion? What makes them feel as one? You know, the people in your church, say you're in a church that is chromatically, linguistically, fashionally, economically, relatively uniform. The family that's not. Why do they feel like they're in communion? Why do they feel like they're out of communion? These are the things to ponder, even as the battle lines of this race war get drawn out more and more clearly. Oh yeah, the peace of Christ be upon you.
What day is it today? Remind me.
It's Sunday, Mr. Pension.
Sunday. And what do we do on a Sunday morning, wherever we happen to be? We go to church, you bloody heathen!